Hello everybody, I'm the Solo Gamer, and welcome to an announcement for Civilization 6, a detailed announcement that we kind of walk through some of the features that are going to be in Civilization 6, which was announced earlier today. And if you haven't seen the trailer, I strongly urge you to watch the trailer. It doesn't give anything away feature-wise, but it is a pretty cool stylized trailer, and reveals a very important leader that will be making a return, hopefully, Gandhi. Yeah, so I'm excited to get into this and tell you guys about some of the features that are coming to Civilization 6 and how it's going to change our game from a linear playthrough with Civilization 5 to a more dynamic and kind of unpredictable playthrough, which is what Civilization should be. First and foremost, one of the things that people are commenting on right now is the artwork and the graphics. Now, we haven't seen the leaders yet, so we don't know how different they look compared to, say, Civilization 4 or Civilization 5. Now, Civilization 4 was a more cartoony leader look, whereas Civilization 5 kind of went more realistic and gave us a little bit more detail and stuff like that. But it looks like Civilization 6 artwork is going in a little bit more of a Civilization Revolution type artwork style. And that's not that bad. People are commenting that it's so cartoony and it doesn't look that great. I beg to differ. Now, I'm okay with the graphics as is. The cartoony type stylized graphics are okay in my book. I would have liked a more realistic style, but again, that would look very, very similar to Civilization 5, and people would be questioning whether or not this game should even be made. Because it would look very, very similar. You know, not much has changed since Civilization 5 in terms of graphics that they can do in a game like this. So the graphics, right now, they're going to be fine. Trust me on that. Just give it time. It'll sink in. You'll learn it, and it'll be good. Now, we have a couple things to talk about other than the graphics. So, the civilizations that we know are in the game, right? So, based on the pictures, we can kind of estimate that Japan is definitely going to be in the game. We can estimate that Egypt is going to be in the game, based on the borders and some of the buildings that they have in the cities. And there's also a chance Portugal is in the game as well. Now, in one of the pictures, you can see a white and blue border. In Civilization 5, that would be Portugal. They might have changed things up here, but considering Egypt and Japan have the same borders as in Civilization 5, I'm thinking this is Portugal. Again, I don't really know. And of course, India might possibly be in the game as well, considering Gandhi was shown in the trailer. That being said, that might not mean anything. So, one of the biggest changes in Civilization 6 is the fact that we now have districts. Districts are essentially buildings on specific tiles. So originally, if you would build a city in Civilization 5, you would build all of the buildings in one city. But in Civilization 6, if you want to build a library, you have to build that on a tile around the city, which makes the game a hell of a lot more interesting in terms of developing a city and specializing that to do whatever you want and working on some of the resources around it and all that stuff. So it's going to make things very, very interesting and not so linear like Civilization 5. In Civilization 5, there was a set build order. If you did not follow this build order exactly, you'd be off so much, and it was very hard to come back from. In Civilization 6, you can now specialize cities to work on specific things. You would have to set aside a bunch of land for certain buildings. It's going to make things a hell of a lot more difficult, which is great for a Civilization series, because Civilization 5 seemed, at the very end, just kind of easy. You know, things were, like I said, linear. You had to pretty much follow a certain track to get anywhere. Now, of course, you could deviate from that, but it wasn't as great as I would like. Granted, I love Civilization 5, but Civilization 6, I think, is going to make things a hell of a lot more interesting. And of course, with those buildings on those specific tiles, you have to work the surrounding area as well for farms, lumber mills, mines, specific resources to improve. So you really have to maintain a city and watch different parts of it and make sure you're making the best city that you can. Now, of course, this also means that you can specialize cities. So if you want a city to focus on military, you can definitely do that. Whereas another city might focus on science. So different things to kind of focus on in a game, which is, again, I'm very excited for that. Now, in some of the pictures, I did see that there was a monument and a granary inside of the city tile itself. So it seems like some buildings you might be able to build in the city tile itself, but others, no. So, I mean, I'm not sure exactly how much in detail that goes, but some things like the amphitheater or coliseum, the circus, the military barracks, they're all outside, and you have to build those on specific tiles around the city. I guess we can talk about resources now. Now, in the screenshots that we have a couple of different resources, a lot from before, and maybe possibly three that are new. So, of course, we have stone, copper, crabs, fish, clams, wheat, cotton, bananas, iron, deer, horses. We also have pigs. Pigs in this marsh tile. It's kind of hard to see, but they are indeed pigs. Now, they're not like truffles, because truffles... Well, maybe they are like truffles. It could be truffles. I'm not really sure. But I see pigs, so I should mention that. And, of course, we have this brown-type rock. Now, originally, I thought this was copper, but if we take a look at this image over here, this copper is more metallic and a little bit deeper orange. And I'll put them side by side right now, and you can tell that there's something different between them. It might just be the copper with a mine on top of it. I'm not really sure, but there's some sort of difference here that I should probably showcase. So, there's that. Now, they did kind of talk about religion. It wasn't fully detailed or really announced, but I can assume that religion's going to be in the base game of Civilization 6. I hope. I really do. A problem Firaxis has is that in its reiterations of a game, they will leave out certain things until an expansion pack comes out or something like that. Which I'm not a fan of, but again, it's kind of like the Sim kind of mentality. You know, each new Sim game, they do pets, of course, stuff like that. So, I mean, I don't really like that, but I'm hoping that Civilization 6 comes with all the base stuff that you get at the end of Civilization 5, like trade, religion, stuff like that, because if it's not in the game, I'm going to be kind of upset that they kind of did that. I mean, I understand you can't always add every feature that you want originally, but I'd like to see an effort to maybe have all of that, just so we can go from Civilization 5 onward. You know what I mean? It'd be better. Alright, let's talk about research. So research is a little bit different. Research will go down a certain line, obviously, but you can do things to boost your research and help accelerate that tech. So if you... Now, I'm not sure exactly what an example of this would be. They didn't really give an example. But if you improved, say, a horse tile, I assume that would help you in terms of horse tech, right? It would make things much faster to research. And the same goes for stuff like iron, maybe. If you put a city close to the ocean, you can research sailing tech faster, stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm not really sure all of the detailed type boosts that you can do, but I'm assuming that there will be a bunch. And it's going to make research a lot more fun. So again, Civilization 6 is trying to break from the norm, break from the linear attitude that Civilization 5 had, and kind of give us a game where everything is unpredictable, and a game is going to be drastically different, which is very exciting. Now to diplomacy. So diplomacy has been the bane of Firaxis' existence. Civ 4 kind of did alright. Alright, Civ 4 actually had a lot more than Civ 5, which was great. Civ 4 added vassalage and map sharing and all that great stuff, tech sharing, which was fantastic. Civ 5 really, really suffered. Dumbed down version of diplomacy, which they never really improved upon even into the expansion packs, which was kind of upsetting. But in Civilization 6, it's going to be a very dynamic diplomacy. Diplomacy is said to be rebuilt. From the start of the game, you'll have very primitive talks with the civilizations around, and throughout the progression of the game into late game, you'll have alliances and all that great stuff. Now, not much is said about the diplomacy besides it being dynamic, but I'm hoping that we get more information very, very soon as to what that entails. Because alliances, you could do alliances, technically in Civ 5, more so in Civ 4, but in Civ 5 you can have defensive alliances, essentially, which, again, was diplomacy in that. I don't want to mention Civ 5 diplomacy. It's just really bad. It's really bad. And I keep comparing it to Civ 4, but Civ 4 was so great in terms of its diplomacy compared to Civ 5. I'm just hoping we have a great diplomacy system in this game as well. But we won't know until they announce more. They've also changed the 1 unit per tile restriction. So now you can embed certain supporting units into your armies. For instance, you can easily protect a settler on its way to form a new city by adding it to a military unit. Or you can incorporate anti-tank or anti-air into infantry late game, which means that you can really just make stronger forces that can do certain things. So I'm assuming there will be promotions for your units, but embedding support units into your infantry is really, really interesting, and that changes the entire strategic game of war. Hopefully. We'll see how it plays, but it seems like that's going to be really, really interesting. And it also says that you can combine similar units to form a powerful core unit. Now, I'm not sure what that exactly means. I'm not sure if it means combining support with support or infantry with infantry, but we can kind of leave that to speculation for now because there's no other info on it. Multiplayer has also been enhanced a bit, so besides the traditional options that you normally get with multiplayer, you know, playing a game from start to finish, you can now choose certain scenarios that are much faster and can end within a 2-hour time period. So you're not playing for the whole night, like most people do now. So you can, for instance, you can play from the medieval age to the Renaissance, and the player with the better religion or score would win. Now, that's just an example. I'm not sure if that's in the game itself. I was reading an article that said that as an example, but yeah, so there's different scenarios that you could choose from that actually sound pretty interesting. So you can do scenarios with multiplayer. Who knows how that'll work? I'll probably just play traditional anyway, because it's fun. Yeah, so lastly, if you are new to Civilization and fear you won't be able to learn this new game, they are building a detailed tutorial system that would help you along the way, and it's supposed to be better than Civ 5, obviously. That didn't have a good tutorial system at all. It did help, but it wasn't as great as it could have been. So that's pretty much all we know from the trailer, the 3 screenshots we have, and of course the press packet that I have. But I am really excited for Civilization 6. It's coming out on October 21st, 2016, so not that long, actually. Which can be worrying, because we don't know how long they've been working on this game, but I assume since Beyond Earth. You know, since Beyond Earth originally came out, I assume they've been working on this. I hope. I'm not entirely sure, but we know what happened with Beyond Earth. We know it wasn't that great of a launch, and I'm hoping that Civilization 6 can push past that and become the better game, you know, recently. The pre-order is on Steam already, that you can grab for $59.99 US, and there is a digital deluxe edition, which is $20 more, and features 4 future DLC packs, which include new maps, scenarios, and leaders, which I'm not fond of. I know Civilization 5 did this. They added leader maps, they added leader packs, map packs, scenario packs. I hated that, and I'm not too fond about the DLC packs that they're adding. I'd rather just have big expansions rather than small little ones. I'll still get them, but it's not a good model. It's not a good model at all. And I guess that's about it. So the only question now is, can Firaxis deliver us a game that will allow us to build a civilization that will stand the test of time? Only time will tell. I hope you all enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and definitely stay tuned for more.